Okay, today we're getting back at it. We're gonna clean up the electrical. So we're gonna tie up the ECU to the firewall. We're gonna secure all these connectors. I lost so much time on the relays thinking they were not wired properly, but they were wired properly and they're working as expected. So just gonna clean up all this, make sure everything is secure properly, reroute all the harness where I want it to sit for the final build. I'm gonna do some testing yet again. I'm gonna swap, if I remember correctly, the number 2 on this connector is the power, and the 2 outer ones are signal or ground. So I might try to swap those and see if I get the engine running when I swap those wires. If not, I'm just gonna leave it disconnected. Yeah, and then set up the N75 valve, clean up all the wires I don't need in the TJ harness, and then when I get all the wire work done, then I need to pull the steering pump out again and then bend that little tube to make sure I get proper clearance with my link there. Pardon. Also, I have the ground for the ECU is not permanent yet. It's just like hooked up like ghetto like this. And that was the only way I could get like the fuel pump breaker to the fuel pump relay to disengage, is by removing the ground. So I'm gonna try again now that everything is wired properly. I'm gonna test it again, see if it disengage. I can't remember if since the last try I've done, if it disengage on its own or not. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna need to put a switch on that rotate and dash, and then every time I'm gonna use the Jeep, I need to just flick that switch off. Also, right now I'm using the fuel pump relay for the TJ, so I should be able to use the fuel pump relay from the pump. My pump wasn't working before. I think I get 11 or 10 volt out of the relay, which is weird, and I don't think it's enough to run my pump. But so a bit more testing there, but today it's clean up day. And my relay is still on, and that fuel pump is still working until I disconnect the ground. So I'm still gonna need a switch there. So I clean up the electrical a bit. That's what I have left. Just wire that goes to the distribution box. I have a extension here, a couple of wires for accessories, and I kept a 12 volt going to the front for a winch, and I got all my fast forward harness tucked in. It's not the cleanest, but it works for now. I got my breakers mounted to the firewall there, and still have the MAF sensor I need to plug when I do the intercooling, and I have a exhaust temperature sensor left plugged in. And right now I'm gonna try to hook up the radiator so we can run the engine for a long period of time and do some testing on it. For the fast forward harness, this is the brake light, and for the clutch and the black wire, I hooked it up to this breaker right here, and the ignition is hooked up to this breaker here, and it goes through LEDs that I'm gonna run under the dash. I got carried away and I started like doing a bunch of stuff, and I didn't record, but nothing like exceptional. One thing I had to modify is the pump, steam pump. The piping was very close to my control arm there. Okay, so this pipe there was, the angle was downward and toward that control arm right there, and there was some interference. It's still pretty close, but I'm gonna run it like that, see if I get any rubbing or any touching, but that's as high as my engine can go, and then that's the best setup I could get for that right now. So that's how it works. This one is the steering pump from the Jeep TJ with the small engine, with the 4-cylinder engine, and the pump has like an auxiliary reservoir which is there. Everything is plumbed. I just need to make a bracket for it. Like it's probably gonna go like that upward. I'm gonna build a bracket off those bolts. They just hold the engine mount, so probably solid enough to hold like a little can of steering fluid. Yeah, so that little piece of pipe is kind of wedged in and actually I have the original one. So it's wedged in this thing. I'm not sure how it is, if there's like some sort of a compound that keeps it in place or anything. So it was pretty hard to get it to move. So I had it in the vise. I heated up pretty bad, and with this big plumbing wrench, I was able to twist it. And then once I broke the resistance on it, it twisted fairly easily. So I'm hoping it's still sealed up. Now, when I was moving it, I was able to pull it a bit, but I didn't pull it completely, so I kind of knocked it back into place. And then hopefully I won't get any leaking from it. If I do, then I'm gonna take the steering pump out, remove that little pipe off, and then use a compound to weld it in place. Maybe like soldering or some sort of a compound like that. The other thing I did is I shortened the intake pipe here to get a better clearance on this side. I put my radiator hose connected like in the back there and in the bottom there. Bottom goes to the bottom of the rad, top goes to the top of the rad. Next order of business would be to mount the grill, rad in the grill, intercooler, and fan in the front. For that, I'm gonna need to mount the fenders. I needed to do all the work on the engine before I was able to mount the fender, so I get better access on everything. I did rerouted all the wires. It's not like the prettiest thing, but everything's out of the way, and it's gonna work for now. The only thing I need to hook up is G39, which is I believe it's a temperature sensor, if I'm not mistaken. I have it right here actually. But G39 oxygen sensor. So, and it's a 6-pin. So I'm not sure. I have a bunch of places where I could connect that, but all my connectors are 3 pins. So it's probably some sort of Volkswagen oxygen sensor that I don't have, or I didn't see yet on the engine, so still gonna need to look into that. The map sensor, I got the the 4-bar map sensor for it, or map sensor. I got the pipe with the socket to plug it in it as well. Though my setup is all 2.25 inch, and then my intercooler is 2.5 inches, the inlet and outlet, and so I need to get more pieces for that, so I ordered that, so I'm gonna need to wait for that. That's my distribution box. Gonna mount on the fender. So I rewired everything, so everything works except for the dash. Now I lost my dash, so I don't know what I did, but I messed it up somewhere, and now I have no more dash. I do get the lights, but I have no gauges, and I don't have the odometer lighting up anymore. What else? I finished the plumbing for the intercooler on the EGR side, which I rerouted to the heater core on the tub, so that's set up. And I also put like a coolant temperature sensor here in it, so I have two options. I can either read the coolant temperature here or coolant temperature on the other side, so I might have a setup that looks like that. I did the brakes, the brake lines, so I put brand new brake lines in there. It's just like the pliable copper wire, copper lines. Very easy to work with, just like a little cheap flaring kit from Amazon, and it works magic. So put that in the vise, and then once you know how to do it, it's pretty simple, and it works very good. ECU's mounted there. So yeah, I think I went over this already, but I kept a few 12-volt outlet or lines so I can plug accessories. And now my intake, I have when I bought like all the stuff, I bought an intercooler from an M3 that I was planning of using for this project, but it's way too like custom to fit for an application like that. I didn't pay it wasn't expensive, like I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't expensive. And then so I bought another intercooler, which would be easier to install and make it cleaner install as well. But what was I saying here is yeah, so with that came in like a boot that I can use to mount an intake, though it's not ideal. The one end that's hooked up there, which is like super tight, is 2.5 inches, and the end I think will be at least 3 inches, if not 3.5 inches. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I installed it mounted there to see. Like sometimes I just like to install stuff to figure if that will be a good setup or not. In this case, I don't think it will be a good setup, but still thinking about it, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's it. Yeah, mounting the fender grills, and then start doing the lights and all. And then when all the front of the firewall business is completed, then I'm gonna jump into the tub. I always freak out. My dog just got fixed, so he's a little bummed. But yeah, always scared of stepping on him. Anyway, so I bought the use Apex seat, like, which I think will be fitting like great with this project. So I'm gonna put carpet everywhere, tie up the dash, and then paint the outside with the green Raptor liner. And then I'm gonna call this a day, and hopefully this fall I'm gonna be able to ride this Jeep. I'm getting super excited to get this out of the shop. So yeah, that's all. The only thing that's very much of a bummer that I didn't have, even though when the dash was plugged in, is the fuel quantity. And the only time it will be working will be only when the battery will be unplugged for a certain period of time, when it will be plugged in and power up the dash. then it will get like fuel indication. I don't know if that was the actual fuel in the tank or not, but so what I might do, I might make myself a new dash, buy new gauges for it. I think it will be easier than just trying to make this work again. And then I'm gonna get the two sensor wire out of the fuel tank harness. Well, fuel tank harness, it's only 4 wires. So anyway, so I might take those few wires out and then try to hook it up to some fuel gauge, like aftermarket fuel gauge I can install in the dash somewhere. So and I can probably run like this and with the GPS speedometer and get away with sticking to speed limits and such. And then this fall, when we close the pool and I regain my plasma table, I'm gonna probably cut a new dash, and then that would fit in that hole, and put new gauges in there, and then fit a fuel quantity gauge for that. So I think that's pretty much it for what I did. Yeah, so can't wait. So now that I have a running engine, I'm kind of in switch gear and trying to work as much on the project as possible and get things done. So checklist item, I'm gonna need to torque all the bolts on the chassis because now it sits on its weight and I haven't done that. And I need to get the rear drive shaft custom made as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, today I'm gonna install the fan and work maybe to mount my intercooler. Intercooler is gonna go in front of the rad, and the fan's gonna go in between the rad and the grill. And I think just by flipping this bracket from the outside of the grill to the inside, I should have enough clearance to fit the fan in front of the rad. There we go. Might just need to trim the corner of those brackets here to be able to fit in the inside. We'll see how it fits. No, it's gonna work.
I've got a pile of gold hidden out beneath the snow on a hill above a lake. There's a place I sit and wait and think of the things I should say when I'm with you. What I wrote part of you. Between my fingers, I try to glue, and I can't believe the times you can die but still survive. On the screen and on the line, you'll be flowering.
Boom. Put a notch here. I maybe oversize the holes a bit so I get some adjustment. So I just tapered that end a bit. Let it cool down. But it fits all the way now. There you go, gives me a better position. Thread that in. I'm happy with that. So that's where I'm at so far today. I got my steering reservoir hooked up with bracket. I hooked up to the engine mount bolts. Mounted the rad, mounted the intercooler. I chopped the mount for the coolant tank of the fan shroud, and I was able to mount it behind that bracket, and fit tested the tank and it fit nicely. But before I put it in and lock it in place, I want to empty it because I'm going to put brand new coolant in there. So that's where I'm at. Tonight I think I'm going to hook up the fan and get some testing going on with the fan. So lucky me, I was working on the rad and trying to get all the plumbing figured out, but when I was mounting the rad, I kind of slipped. I was making a hole into the bracket and I slipped the drill bit into the rad, and now it's leaking. think I'm gonna need stitches. Fuck. So grinder is always the most dangerous tool in the shop. Caught the blade kind of shattered. No, I'm good, thank you. And went to my leg. My wife patched me up. Of course, I passed out. And then, so the cut is pretty clean, so I think I'm alright. Won't need any stitches, but I think my day's over now. Grinders. So that's how it looks like today. I was pretty lucky. I didn't go to the hospital. It's pretty clean cut, so we just put tape on it, and hopefully it would heal shut enough. No infection today, so that's good. I was very lucky. If I would have hit here, it would have caught a tendon. It would have been bad news. So just right here on the side, it was just like fat. So always be careful with the grinder. Today I'm gonna rest and get back to it tomorrow. So I'm back in the shop today. So I'm gonna finish to cut the exhaust without killing myself, and I'm gonna cut the brackets there as well to loosen the muffler. I'm gonna need to spin it so it lines up at the right angle, because this part's gonna be like up 90. I already have my downpipe hooked up, so the exhaust should fit right in there. I took the measurement. I have 10" to where I want to take it, and I think like the hook is gonna fit right in the stock place beside the transmission. How about that? Good boy. And then so somewhere on the internet, when I was doing all my researches, I saw that it didn't matter to put the intercooler on the back, but since I installed it, I started doubting, and then I saw that information a long time ago, and I can't find it anymore. And everything I see is that it should be like in front of the intercooler, which makes sense. But I don't know what the temperature difference is in between both of them, because I'm assuming that the air coming out of the hot section of the turbo is pretty hot to begin with. It's just like the drop to cool it down. I think it's probably going to be affected regardless. So I'm going to take some measurement. That was the easiest way to mount it, because a fitment, but with the intercooler piping that I got, I might be able to pull it off regardless. Worst case scenario, I might need to cut here and here for the piping to come out by switching the inside bracket inside the grill, these brackets, by switching them inside. I kind of made a gap big enough for to install the fan. So the fan will need to go inside, and the intercooler will need to go almost inside the grill here, and see what kind of clearance I get. In this scenario, we need to boost the rad maybe an inch to get enough clearance to get the intercooler sliding like right in here. So yeah, so Anyway, I need to take the rad out because it's busted and I have a new one ordered, and it's going to take a while before it gets here, so I have plenty of time to figure it out, but I might as well take it out and look for fitment, try to get the better configuration. I think I'm going to be able to reuse my bracket, which is great, and then just going to need to figure like what kind of holes I'm going to need to tap on this to be able to mount everything and have the proper fitment. Super happy to have this here though, and I looked, I still have enough clearance with the steering cam, even though if I move it like forward maybe an inch. Thing is, I could probably move it like even further. I'm gonna see how that goes, but because the rad should go like can go as far as like 3-inch, almost up to the filter, fuel filter, and that's the kind of fitment I'm looking for. I could rebuild an entire new bracket for the intercooler as well, so it's mounted flush here, maybe a little higher, and then have the radiator mounting on that bracket, and then eliminate, or if I reinforce like a mount that goes across on the front grille, that might straighten enough the front grille that you can eliminate entirely the bracket inside the front grille, and have the intercooler tied up like right snug in the grill. So yeah, I don't know yet. I kind of go with the flow when I do stuff, so for now I just feel like I should like unmount everything, clean up. I still have coolant in there, and I bought a bunch of fluid today. I bought like more coolant for the rad, and I bought ATF fluid for the transfer case because I haven't put fluid in there yet. And then what else? Oh, I bought ductry for the brake system, and I have I didn't buy any more steering fluid, but I have a can here. I'm not sure like if that's gonna be enough, but I'm gonna fill up that that reservoir, see if I can get some steering when I get this thing started. I ordered like a bracket for the distribution box, a used TJ bracket, because mine was missing when it was missing or rotten out. I think I dusted out because it was like non-salvageable. What else did I got? Oh, I got like a gauge kit for the dash as well, so that's gonna be exciting if I get that from China in hopefully less than a month. What else did I get? That's pretty much it, I think. So let's get to work. So the exhausts seem to fit pretty well. Might just need to bend the bracket to hold the exhaust in the stock holding bracket, and then that should work fine. Maybe a little bit of welding involved because it's cracked at a few places, and it's gonna do for now. The intercooler, I was trying to mount it like into the grill, but I feel like I have like some run-ins into interference. First, it's a little too wide, so I would have to chop the side of the grills, and then the piping, because the ports on the top, I would need to run 90s to get out of the grill, and I wouldn't provide me enough clearance with the hood. And then I flipped it over, then I'm still gonna need to chop like the bottom of the grill, and I would run with interference with the steering motor down there, the hydraulic motor. So not ideal. So now I'm thinking I'm just gonna put it on top. I'm gonna use the braces that goes like on top of the engine bay, and I'm gonna wheel the brackets to hold the intercooler on top, and I think it's gonna be much nicer setup for cooling. I can also put like a little bit of a hood scoop that force air in it, and that will provide plenty of cooling. So that's where I'm at. I'm running out of battery on space on my camera, so I'm gonna need to clean it up, and I need to get to work. So I might skip a little bit of documenting there, but that's where I'm at.
Plant ashes. The first job of every Zonderkommando team is to incinerate its predecessor.
So yesterday I got my adapters to go. That goes from 2.25 to 2.5, and then I finished the bracket for the intercooler and decided to mount it like right on top of the engine like that. So I like the fitting. Everything is super sturdy and still providing a bit of flex, and gives me plenty of room for the rad, actually with everything, so it'll be easy for maintenance as well. So I like it. That's how I'm gonna run it.